Hey everybody, this is
Hey,
Devin
Macarena.
Francis, and also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And this is Victoria,
And
also known as I'm behind on 3 episodes of Once Upon a Time.
you're watching episode 47 of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast. Today we are talking about The Perfect Gift, the OAC episode for October, and
Change of Hart, the last episode in album 1.
yes. So, to start us off, The Perfect Gift, episode 748, written by the lovely Kathy Buchanan.
Woo, Kathy! Yay!
Yeah, so, hey, it is the Operation Christmas Child episode, finally, a charity-sponsored episode again.
This episode, to me, was just... I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but it just felt like a giant... Oh, talk about it later. Okay. Anyway, description. Perfect gift. The maintenance man at Odyssey Community Church passes away, and Whit, after finding his mysterious will, tries to find the meaning of it. Meanwhile, Whit's End is getting ready for Operation Christmas Child and have camera, lights, and the whole works ready and raring to go. Whit goes on a hunt for the person described in the man's will, only to find out that the person in question was not actually a person at all. It was the man's dog. Makes more sense if you listen to the episode. And it's not as dumb as it sounds. The woman running the Christmas Child documentary came to Odyssey because the maintenance man was the one who sent her a shoebox in the first place. That's it.
Okay. So, from the beginning, I was like, I guess that's Brian in the cover art then, so we get to see what Brian looks like now. And,
No, we already knew. He was
oh, that's
in
true, you're
the
right.
Jay in the Life one.
Yeah, forget I said that.
Wait, can I first say what I was saying before? This episode to me just felt like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, a giant mishmash of a bunch of other episodes. Like, especially the last Christmas Child episode. I can't remember what it's called. Balloon of Leonard.
Truth.
What? An undeniable truth. And it also kind of felt like the one the Parkers just had that was AI, like the...
Grandma's Christmas Visit?
No, the one from Club episodes.
Oh, like, because of the fact that she was the one.
Yeah.
The missionary or mission improv.
Mission Unaccomplished.
Yes.
Yes. It was a lot like that one, and the fact
there's so many episodes with similar names. Missionary Unaccomplished. Yeah.
With like the Christmas Child. And
yes, I did think of that
stuff.
too.
And there was lots of other things that just reminded me of lots of other things. Buried Sin was another one I thought of. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just listening to it. I'm like, it's like I have deja vu for every single episode ever written at the same time.
I know. Also,
except for A Change of Hart.
Here's another thing. Right off the bat, I don't know what I was trying to say. Right off the get-go, right off the block, I don't know. We find out that Brian has this fancy-dancy watch that does all these things, and it measures altitude. I was like, careful,
the
Brian,
other one that
what's going to steal your watch?
Mixed in there. Yeah, it was Christmas Conundrum. That was the other one that I was thinking of. That was mixed in there with everything else. I just love the line, like, does it tell time? And he's like, I don't know, I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
But yeah, I thought that was so funny because he said altitude was in it. I'm like, because the watch that Connie got for Whit was apparently quite expensive, so his does altitude just as a footnote to all his other features, so I thought that was funny. March of technology, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I just listened to this episode and I'm thinking, like, what would people say if they heard this, like, when Odyssey first started? If someone said something like this, I'm like, actually, this kind of sounds like something you would hear in Back to the Future. It's like, hey, yeah, I got my new watch with all these things. That just sounds like a lot like a line from Back to the Future.
And it runs on plutonium. Yeah.
Shark, or like Jaws 52. Next year we get our hoverboards, guys. I talk about it like every single day with my friends. That's not an exaggeration.
Anyway, so it's really interesting that they're doing an Operation Christmas Child episode explicitly now, because they did a parody of the whole thing in An Undeniable Truth, like Victoria said, except they called it Christmas for the Children, I think, in that
Yeah,
episode.
I was just listening to this episode. I'm like, well, I know what this month's charity is.
Yeah, I was like, so why wouldn't they do it then again? Because they want to do the charity explicitly. And of course, also, Christmas for the Children was done with Hand Up. So obviously, there can be no connections to that
Speaking
whatsoever.
of Hand Up, this made me so mad.
You're very angry today.
You cannot possibly comprehend. I am very angry today. And it's because of these things made me so angry. Just Hadley, all the stuff with Hadley.
We just recorded the first half of the previous episode, by the way, for context.
And just the stuff with and they're like, hey, we're gonna film the children opening their boxes, and Connie's like, holy crap, you're gonna do that? And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, and then they're just like, but doesn't that sound hard? It's like, yeah, we're gonna need like lights, camera, action, a full technician crew. It's gonna be really hard to set up. I'm like, oh, how about you get a little machine where you can just crank it to wind it, and then it just sends everything to you that you can possibly need. And I can't breathe anymore. I'm so mad. We need Hand Up for EduLinks. I can't talk about this anymore. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. My entire body's red. I can't even see straight. Oh my gosh. Literally everything is shaking. I'm just so mad right now.
Oh, that's very funny, Victoria.
No, it's not. I'm gonna cry. Other than that, I actually like this episode a lot. But just that...
Thank you for getting my dose of laughter in for the day there. So,
I'm so angry you cannot possibly comprehend.
Yes, you sound furious. When they talked about, like, how nobody knew what his first name was, that everyone just called him Hobbs, I was like, plot twist, his name was actually Hobbs, which it turned out that wasn't the case.
His first name should have been Calvin.
It turned out that wasn't the case, but that would have been a good plot twist. That's how I would have written it if I was Kathy Buchanan, which I am not.
If you were, it would be very strange.
It would. I'm guessing I would have written the Connie Mitch episodes very differently.
If you were Kathy Buchanan, you know what you would have included? An EduLink!
Yes. Very true. So my guess initially was that the VHS tapes actually had like a whole bunch of cool emotional Jesus stuff taped on them, taped over the Gilligan's Island reruns, because it was in the art and they mentioned it a couple times, so I was like, obviously they have to be significant. Also, hey, cool thing, we now know the altitude of Wits End, 1,558 feet above sea level.
Yeah, because that's going to come into handy.
Hey, it's a cool piece of trivia, and J&J's Antiques is at 1,600 feet. You can't tell me that that is not a cool piece of trivia.
I guess.
That we now know about it.
I'm just still really angry.
I still can't believe we're at the point in time now where kids Brian's age have to ask what a VHS tape is.
I know, that line made me so sad. I'm just listening to it. I'm sitting there, I'm like, how old am I? And
I know.
It doesn't help that at like church today, at the end of church, I was talking to Liam, and I was talking about like the difference between guys' jeans and girl jeans, and like the pockets, because it's always a topic I am very ready to discuss and rant about, because it's like almost as infuriating as the EduLink, but not as quite. And so I'm like, it's like girl jeans, it's like you can't even like fit your hand in there, and like guy jeans, it's like, whoa, how far does this go? And then I'm like, it's like the big comfy couch in here. And then Liam's like, I have no idea what that is. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, your childhood was so depraved.
Like, not even deprived, but depraved. When we were cleaning up the G house the other night, I was just standing in the middle of the living room singing the 10-second tidy song from the Big Comfy Couch while people cleaned up. It was very constructive.
I don't remember how any of the songs in that go. All I remember is that show really creeped me out because of all the clowns.
I like how it, when you think about it, like,
I still watched it for some reason.
It's like about a bunch of gypsy clowns. Like, it's like the weirdest concept ever.
I know. Gypsy clowns who have magic couches that just like go, they're like TARDIS couches. They're
Anyways.
all gypsy clown time lords.
Well, I mean,
That sounds like the weirdest title for a show.
only the grandma was a gypsy, Victoria.
What?
Only the old lady was a gypsy.
But can you imagine that, like, BBC's new spin-off show, Gypsy Clown Time Lords?
On BBC 27.
Starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Matt Smith. That would be the best show ever.
Okay, back on track. Back on track. As soon as they played the VHS tape, I was like, this is an interesting mystery concept. It reminds me quite a lot of Buried Sin. Immediately, as soon as they said, like, I heard the name Lisa, and they're like, something about a penguin, and they're like, well, there's a penguin in the box that's all chewed up. I was like, I bet Lisa's the dog, and that's why she was after the box, because it had a penguin in it.
I never figured out who was Lisa.
I guessed it immediately.
I was very suspicious about that one person.
Because I was like, they're putting
what's
enough...
her name?
Damaris?
Yeah, I was really suspicious about her when she first showed up, and she's like bad-mouthing Connie, and Connie's like, well then, and stuff. And
I had a hard time pinning down her accent until she finally said she was from Romania.
I know, like, I'm just listening to her voice, and I'm like, I don't...
After, like, 2 lines, I thought it was, like, you know, Latin American or something, but I listened where it sounds more like Russian Slavic, so I was kind of confused. And once it said, because I was like, Russia, I wouldn't imagine there's a lot of Operation Christmas Child stuff in Russia, because I also guessed that Damaris was once helped through the Operation Christmas Child program by a box that Hobbs sent, and that's why she wanted to meet him.
Well, you're just Sherlock Holmes, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I did so good in this episode. The only thing I didn't guess was when he said on the roof, and they're like, maybe the roof, and maybe the money's hid there. I thought, oh, it's probably the church roof, because he's the maintenance man.
I thought they meant the roof of his house.
Well, I know, after they said it wasn't like the roof of his house, like after they said that, and $100,000, which is a lot of money. I was like...
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I never really thought about it.
I was like, oh, I bet it's the church roof, because they knew that even if they didn't find the thing, they'd find it there, because he, like, loved giving his stuff to God, so he'd put it in the church roof, and he's the maintenance man, so he could have hidden it, like, as well as he wanted there, and I was like, I'm so good at mysteries. So, yeah, that was
no offense
the only part I got wrong
Hobbs,
about this.
But I really think that hiding the money in the doghouse was really stupid.
It was
no offense.
Not a good idea.
Because, like, I don't know, like, if there is another tornado in Odyssey or something like that, like, a tree could just, like, crush it. Yeah. And then it, like, ruin tons of the money, or, like, the roof of the doghouse could start leaking, and just, like...
I guess it... And it
didn't really sound like... I guess they would have had it in a container, but still.
In some ways, it might have been safer than in the house, because if there was a house fire, it would get rid... But, I mean, why would the doghouse ever burn down? Or if they sold the house without finding it or something?
Or, like, somehow Lisa, like... breaks into the box or whatever, and it's like, oh, new chew toy because I can't find my penguin. I'm gonna eat all the money. Yeah. So, like, I don't really think it was a good idea.
So, yeah, I was like, I was right. Lisa is the dog. Take that, Emily Jones. I got everything right about this mystery, except for the fact that it was the doghouse roof and not the church roof.
Okay, I think lots of people have a misconception about my opinion towards Emily. I don't hate Emily. It's just, I don't even dislike her. It's just I don't really care for her that much.
I dislike her.
I'm kind of indifferent
don't hate her.
towards
I should
her.
Clarify that.
I don't hate her or anything. I'm just, like, indifferent towards her. I do kind of like her a little bit because she is a cool character, but I do definitely like the fact that we've had a couple mystery episodes as of late without her in it.
Yeah. Because,
like... I don't like it when it's like mystery episodes are just confined to one specific character, because then whenever it's like an Emily episode, you're like, oh, it's a mystery. I'd rather have it be a surprise it's a mystery. Like with early episodes, they could have mystery episodes and they could have them with or without Harlow. Just because Harlow is in an episode doesn't mean it's going to be a mystery episode.
Yeah.
So, just something. That's just my reasoning towards not liking Emily that much.
Yeah.
Also, I loved Whit's little jab at Connie, like oh, you can be in charge, and it's like, I bet, I put, like, I actually took some notes for this one, I put, like, do you think he actually, every now and then, like, when he's leaving the shop, and it's just like, you can be in charge, he teases Connie about that, because, like,
because of
Do you think
the one
he's
about
teased
trust.
her about, like... Yeah, do you think he's teased her about that ever since the one about trust?
I don't think he would
Like, every
tease
now
her
and then?
about something like that. That seems a
No, I
little.
mean, I know, I don't mean teasing, but you know what I mean, right?
I guess so.
Like, I don't think he'd do it too much, or else it'd be like, yeah, wait, that's
Aha, I'm
not
poking
funny,
fun
that's
at a very
actually
emotionally damaging
really
moment in our
mean.
relationship.
But, like, I could see him doing it, like, twice, or something like that. This being one of those times.
So,
I don't know, just something. And also, I love this made me laugh so hard. I don't know if this was, like, a actual callback, or just, it was just in there, but just, the pastor to wit, oh, wait, you don't happen to want a dog, do you? Oh, no, I definitely don't. I put, like, yeah, I don't want no dog after what happened with Sherman.
I did not think of that. Nice
Did you
catch.
think about that?
I did
when
not
he
think
said,
of
like,
Sherman
what, do you
at all.
want a dog? I just, like, burst out laughing, because it's like, heck no!
Sherman did not enter my mind at all. Good catch, Victoria. It's funny.
So, like, I don't know if that was a callback or not, but that made me laugh really hard.
I don't know. I hope so.
I hope it was a callback.
Speaking of pastors, Pastor Reyes is back once again. He's becoming.
I love it when he appears. I thought he'd only be a one-shot character, and I was like amazed when he appeared more than once. But he's becoming like a legit minor character.
Yeah, he's becoming a regular, which is what I said in my notes. So hooray for more POC characters! Super exciting.
You know who's also becoming a regular? A re-regular? Dale.
Yeah.
He's a regular.
Yeah. I mean, he was a major character back in the day, and he is appearing more and more again, which is exciting.
Back in my day.
Yeah.
Back in my day.
Anyways, there was a line from that teller where she was like, it was chilly for that time of year, 30 degrees, maybe 35. I was so confused for a second.
Tuesdays with Wooten.
Yeah.
Is that the same lady?
I don't know, but I definitely thought of that first thing. As soon as she started talking, I thought of her.
Okay, it's so confusing because remember how a couple episodes ago when we did Last Great Adventure of the Summer, and I said Will Ryan was like back in the time before Will Ryan became Eugene, and he was like every single second male adult character. Okay, whoever this lady is, who played, like, the secretary at the school. Now she played this bank teller lady. And she also plays...
Did she make you think of the secretary from whatchamacall?
From the school episode.
The Lost Riddle?
Yeah, she's the same person.
That's the other person I thought of, too.
Yeah, it was the same... She was using the same voice and stuff.
Wow, that's...
And, like...
She always has, like, little quirky speech things and, like, repetitive
that, like, separate the voices, but you can still tell it's the same person. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I do really like her.
Perfect gift. Perfect church. Perfect witness. So much perfection in this show.
But she's also that other lady, the cranky lady. What's her name?
Mrs. Kramer?
Yeah, she's Mrs. Kramer's voice actor. Yeah, she is.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she is. Look it up. I am sure she sounds exactly like Mrs. Kramer.
She's not credited on the credits for this episode. Like Liesel, like her character is not on the character list.
She is Mrs. Kramer. I'm sure of it.
No. Mrs. Kramer is Mrs. Kramer and Edith Sutton, and that's it. I'm pretty sure.
But they sound exactly the same. I was gonna say it's like Will Ryan, but she plays every, like, female quirky lady.
No. Mrs. Kramer is played by Mitzi McCall, and Mitzi McCall has been Edith Sutton and Mrs. Kramer.
Well then, I am right, and you know nothing.
Anyways, what I was going to say was, I was so confused by that temperature thing. Stupid Fahrenheit is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Oh, Fahrenheit. Okay.
Did you still not
Americans.
Did you still not understand? No. I know. She was like, I thought she was being sarcastic for a second. She was like, it was so chilly for that time of year. 30 degrees, maybe
it's
35.
It's like an RVB. They always do Fahrenheit jokes and stuff. And then Donut, for some reason... sometimes it's Tucker, sometimes it's Donut, sometimes it's Griff, whatever. It's like someone always says like something in Fahrenheit, and then the other one's like, what's that in this? Or someone says it in, like, what's the
Kelvin.
C stand for? Yeah, someone says it in, like, the C, and then the other person's just like, what's that in Fahrenheit? And, yeah.
Wait, did you not remember what the C stands for, Victoria? As in the temperature gauge which we use in the other 200 countries of the world? Celsius?
Celsius, that is it.
Yes.
I do know what it is. I just temporarily slipped.
Did you have anything else you want to say before I go into the bonus video stuff for this?
My hair looks like Shion's right now. That's all I have to say.
Anything relevant to the episode?
No.
Okay, I'll cover the bonus stuff and then we'll wrap up this episode. Okay, so the bonus video for this was actually, it's funny because it raised the production quality like a lot because most of the video was different, like Operation Christmas Child videos, like official ones. Strung together with different Odyssey Adventure Club stuff in between. So there's a whole bunch of official like Christmas Child promotional material. So there's a Duck Dynasty cameo in the video.
By who?
Sai. He had a box with fireworks in it. He was going to send to the kids.
Oh my gosh, I've seen that video.
Yeah, so I've
seen that video.
That was in there.
I love that one.
Bob and two of the OAC kids were standing in Walmart, and there was an ad for Destiny in the background. I noticed that.
Destiny.
Anyways,
I think you get to Destiny.
Victoria, stop it. There was a VeggieTales thing because they had the little VeggieTales thing on how to pack your box, and they were playing the Cookies from Santa song, and all I could think of was, I'm from the IRS.
I'm from the IRS.
You have a claim on that? No?
Nom.
Oh, man.
I didn't get that till I was older, but when I was older, I laughed so hard at that because I didn't really know who the IRS was, but because of Odyssey and the merchant of Odyssey.
I do have wireless,
I did.
actually. Keep on
talking
Sean? About things, Victoria.
We're recording, I'm sorry.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Unexpected guests.
So...
Yes, another cameo by Sean. And
Sean!
I don't even live here anymore.
Hi, Sean! Sean, wave!
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Sean!
Not too long.
Okay, I think I'm...
So there's Sean,
here, right? Yes.
Devin's ex-roommate, and now Devin is
Hello,
back.
friends, I'm back.
I did not talk about anything.
Did you just sit here in silence?
No, I yelled at Sean a little bit, and then I said that was Sean.
Okay. Anyways, they had a little song commercial thingy where they like make a Christmas carol by like combining all random sounds from the warehouse.
I'm from the IRS.
It was really cool. I liked the video. It's nice to have it all focused on a charity again. They did some video stuff overseas. It was very sweet, and it was much longer than normal, so there's a lot of stuff packed in there. It was great. Also, on closing, they used the AIOO Christmas theme, which is great because it doesn't get used a lot. Okay,
yeah,
final
I like
thoughts.
The Christmas theme. It would be really funny if the whole episode, because they're talking about Operation Christmas Child, and then it turns out that the charity for the month was the cowboy charity again. Can you imagine that?
Oh my goodness, that would have been perfect. Okay. But seriously, it was good to have charity again.
Yeah. I always like it when... I always get kind of sad when we don't have a charity.
It's been a while, so it's nice. They have good one.
What? I still really think that Drake the Cosmic Copper should have been Bart's Space Camp, because that would have been so perfect. I mean, Focus would have still gotten the money, but
please.
At least they could have said Bart's Space Camp.
Go.
But they can't acknowledge Bart because Bart isn't in the show anymore.
Fast.
I don't know. I really liked this episode. I think I'll give it a 4? No, 3.5. 3.3.
Anything
3.3.
you want to add justification-wise for that, or?
I know I might have sounded like I was nagging on this episode, especially at the beginning.
Yes, you did.
But I actually really did like this episode. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't really figure out the mystery at all, so I thought that dog thing was
Yes.
a little interesting.
Your Mac charger? Or do you need it?
But
Is it this kind?
yeah, I really enjoyed the
Why
episode.
do you have the weird Mac charger?
Because I have a new
And-
computer.
No. Do you have the
And
Not with me, no. Sorry.
anyway, it's always fun seeing Mr. Reyes again.
Yes.
And yeah, I liked this episode. I liked the thing with the watch at the end.
Yeah.
Another thing from A Christmas Conundrum that I thought of, I don't know why, but the stuff with the watch, it really reminded me of Grady's part in the Christmas Conundrum. I don't know why, because it's not really connected at all, but I just keep on thinking
Well,
of
it makes
it
sense
every
because
single time
Eugene
I
really
hear it.
wanted the stereo system. And he was like, you know what? You can have it. It's fine.
No, it's not even that. It's just Grady, like, walking around, and he's like, I really want to get this for my mom and stuff. I don't know how that ties into it or anything.
Yeah,
but-
it doesn't really from that perspective. So I don't know.
yeah,
You're weird.
I don't know.
Anyways.
What? Whose roommate is coming to whose room? By the way,
No one's.
everything
I don't have a
Sean
roommate,
said
Victoria.
I could hear, so I'm guessing it was picked up by the monk.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anyways, is that everything?
Yep.
Okay.
Your rating.
What do I have to say? Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said in that it felt like it was calling back to a whole lot of different episodes, which probably wasn't intentional, but
But it's
there
not a
you
bad
have it.
thing.
No, it's not a bad thing either. I liked the episode. I mean, I solved the mystery, but it was
I didn't.
still exactly. So it wasn't super obvious because Victoria still didn't figure
Me
it out.
and all my intellect.
Exactly. So
My Odyssey
yeah, it was
intellect.
good.
My
It took a charity thing and an
Oddalect.
actual charity this time, and it tied it into, mystery. And who doesn't like posthumous mysteries? Other than, the fact that it means someone died, obviously. But
You're a terrible person.
yeah, I overall I quite enjoyed it. Not super amazing, fantastic, but it was
That's
good.
why I gave it a 3.3.
I'm gonna give it a 4.1 out of 5.
I would have given it 4, but I think I took off a full mark just because of the Edgelink thing.
I didn't think
seriously?
of that at all.
I'm so
Really?
furious.
Okay, so there we go. That is the end of part 1. And let us now move over so that we can talk about A Change of Hart. And we'll see you there. And we're back here now looking at A Change of Hart, episode 27, written by the amazing Paul McCusker.
So, in this episode, a boy named...
You don't remember his name, do you?
He's played by Jack. I realized
Yes,
that
he is.
today. I realized
Freddie
that while I
Hart.
just listened to it. Freddie
Yes,
Hart.
he's Donald
Thank
Long.
you.
Yes.
A kid named Freddie Hart gets picked on at school, so then he changes schools, and then he still gets picked on, and then he changes his appearance, and then he still gets picked on, and then he becomes a Christian. And then he learns how to play the harp.
Yes. He learns to play the Odyssey theme on the harp, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In like 2 seconds.
Yes.
It's pretty
he's very-
impressive.
He's a very fast learner.
He's very talented.
So, we start here, yes, the first episode with Julius Schnitzelbonker.
Yes, that is something I do like about this episode.
Philip Glossman is the principal, so it's no wonder that the school was falling prey to delinquency.
Wow.
It's the first appearance of the Odyssey Academy, and the teacher there that they have, their math
Oh, I
teacher,
never realized that.
when they said that her name is Miss Houston, Odyssey Academy is literally the only thing from this episode that sticks to any other episode.
Well, the voice actors stick.
True. The only canon
The name
thing.
Odyssey sticks.
Anyways, the teacher's name was Miss Houston, so I was thinking, the first thing I thought was, I hope when a kid has a math question, they put out their hand and go, Houston, we have a problem. I'm so witty. Yeah.
Um. So let's talk about what's his name?
Freddy?
Freddy. Let's talk about Freddy Jason Hart. See what I
Yeah.
did there?
You gave him a fake middle name?
No, Freddy and Jason. Never mind. Freddy versus Jason. Never mind.
No, what do you...
Horror movies. Friday the 13th.
Oh. No,
Never
I didn't.
mind.
I didn't get that.
Okay.
Sorry, Victoria, I don't like horror movies as much as you do.
I don't either. I tried watching Saw, but then I just started shaking and I turned it off.
Well, you're the one who said you wanted to do it. Anyways, back on topic. Let's talk about Freddy.
So, you start.
I don't know what you want to talk about, Victoria.
Well, I don't really especially like him very
No,
much.
he's
Do
not.
you?
He's not a super likable kid. And, you know,
I
I
feel
think that...
bad for not liking him because I genuinely feel bad for him during this episode. It's just
I
I
know.
don't like him at the same
And this
time.
one, that's sort of
And-
along the line of the next thing I was going to say, which is that I find it hard to imagine that there's no other, like, nerds at this school, especially considering he's at a
know.
private school. I mean, I think Freddy was kind of looking for friends in the wrong places. I mean, playing harp,
Yeah.
good at math, collecting butterflies, there's definitely someone there who would want to be friends with him. He just needs to find them.
Plus,
I
like-
think it feels to me like a lot more of his problem. It's a lot less, you know, those kinds of aspects and hobbies and what he wants to do, so much as he's generally just very bad at personalizing with people. He's just
yeah.
very awkward in social interactions. I mean, other than that, you know, regardless of his appearance and his hobbies, you know, that can all be worked over. I mean, look, I'm the really nerdy guy who just throws whatever random clothes on in the morning, and I had tons of friends in high school, and was actually oddly popular for some unknown reason.
Yeah, you're still more popular than I am at high school, and you're in college.
Yeah, I'm still more popular at Victoria's high school. It's weird, but you do have a lot of friends, Victoria.
I
to
do
be
have
fair.
a lot of
It's
friends.
just that people really, really like me for some reason, and I feel, and I kind of address this sort of later on in the notes, but even though I have a very, like, eccentric and niche personality in terms of the things that I like and stuff, in terms of social interactions, a lot more, you know, outgoing, and rebrand them in a way that people seem to like a lot more, which I think is a lot more key in terms of making friends than the actual things that you're liking to do or stuff like that. So
According
I
to
thought that was
Devin, I'm really
interesting.
good at making friends.
Yes.
I don't know, I can just kind of walk up to someone and, like, in some cases, 10 seconds later, we're, like, really good friends. But
See, I can't do
sometimes
that.
it doesn't happen.
I don't like talking to
Um,
people that I don't know. They just like me for some
I don't
reason.
either. Like, even if I see someone I do know and have known my whole life, it usually takes me, like, I don't know, a couple minutes to actually get into the conversation and want to talk to them.
Yeah. Social
Is
anxiety.
it possible to, like people, but at the same time not like people?
I hope so, because I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Put a weird tab in here. There we go.
So, like, this episode, listening back to it, 'cause I don't really listen to this one very much, because, as you guys know, I don't really like this one very much. This time I really thought about it, because I was picked on in school, in grade 6, 7, 8. Those were the 3 worst years of my life, and I would never repeat them for anything. I was never actually physically bullied. It was more like emotionally and verbally. But, so this episode did kind of hit me a little close to home when I listened to it today. But even though I was teased and stuff, I did actually still have friends. So, yeah.
I want to get into that in just a second. I just have one more point first there, which is
Okay, one thing I want to say, I'm really sorry. Sorry, can I say this?
yes.
Okay. I understand that they wanted to test the whole let's do an Odyssey episode without having any characters we've ever had before. But seriously, has Freddy really been in Odyssey his whole life and never discovered Wit's End? This is something that has always really bothered me about this episode, because everyone knows what Wit's End is. It's like, okay, Freddy not knowing what Wit's End back then is, it's like how everyone nowadays doesn't know what hand up is. Yes, I'm still on that.
I honestly find it incredible
Like, if he went to
how
Wit's
we
End,
can
he'd have
relate
so many
everything
friends.
back to hand up. Like,
That's
it
'cause
should not be
everything
possible.
does
It
come
should
back
not
to
be
hand
possible,
up.
considering how much hand up was in Odyssey. It should not be possible for us to relate it to modern stuff as much as we do. It is.
You know what I still find really weird? We have not reviewed one hand up episode.
Probably out of spite. We don't want the Focus execs to come for us in the night.
Yeah. No, if we actually reviewed a hand up episode, we wouldn't be able to complain.
A hand up episode, you mean?
Yeah, a hand up episode. We wouldn't be able to complain about hand up as much, not being in the episode we're reviewing, so it just can't work. We can't review any
that's
hand
probably
up episodes.
it. Anyways, Freddy's dad gave that whole "it's what's on the inside that counts" speech and missed a prime opportunity for a pun with their last name. I mean, in a metafictional sense...
It's the heart that counts.
In a
Seriously,
metafictional
though,
sense, it wouldn't have worked out well because the same pun is already being used in the episode title.
Yeah,
but if I was Freddy's dad, you can bet buttons to knickers that I would have made an awful dad joke. I'd be making them every day if my last name was Hart.
Just like walk up to someone and it's like, I heart you, will you marry me?
I hope that's how he proposed to his wife.
But seriously though, at the point where Freddy was emotionally in those conversations, I really don't think he would have appreciated it, like, if his dad did say something like that.
True.
Like, that'd be so terrible. It's like you're on the brink of tears, and then your dad's trying to crack jokes.
But dad jokes, Victoria.
Like, if it was a normal joke, it wouldn't be as bad. But if it's a dad joke, you'll just get, like, smacked in the face by your child.
Anyways, okay, so on to what you were saying. I thought it was also interesting, especially with the whole theme of this episode, not just the bullying, because I also went through the same thing to a degree while I was in the middle of high school. And unlike Victoria, I didn't have any friends whatsoever.
I didn't really have any friends in grade 6, except for, like, at the school I was at, because I just transferred schools.
Yeah,
I only had, like, 3 friends at the school, and all my friends other than that were, like, in grade 2 at the school, so I couldn't really hang around with them. Like, basically, my only friend was Gabe.
Basically,
she wasn't in any of my classes, so...
The thing I find interesting about this, and my experience with it, is that while I was going through this, I did basically remake my own personality, like Freddy did, but in a good way, not in a bad way, like he did. And I ended up turning out much the better for it, personality-wise, because I used to be, I'm still extremely introverted person, like, incredibly, but I used to be very much more socially anxious and quiet and stuff in class, and then I basically just, I took pieces of other people's personalities and kind of morphed them together and remade my social mindset, and then suddenly, it was all great, and people like me, and, listening to this episode, it sounds like, that's a bad thing, but the interesting thing about it is, I think the reason that it worked, and it's still the way I am today, is that in doing so, I changed the way I interacted with people, but I didn't change who I was. Like, I didn't change the things that I liked, or who I was as a person, just the way that I interacted with other people. So it was more of like an all things to all people kind of thing, like Seth Young, except, not in the episode of that same name before he went off the deep end and stuff like that.
Yeah, what did happen? He was a weird character. I liked him a little, but he was weird. Anyways, yeah. Sorry that we're getting all personal with this episode, guys. In kindergarten, grade 1, 2, I was really, really popular. I don't really know why.
That's true.
What?
It's true. I remember.
I was like
you'd be at birthday parties like every single week, whereas I hadn't been to anybody's birthday party in like
really,
3
really,
years.
really popular. And Devin had like no friends except for James.
Yeah. And then James
I'm
left too, and
sorry,
I had like
Devin.
no friends whatsoever. Victoria has all these friends. And you're like, yeah, I'm not popular.
And then like grade
digress.
4 and 5 hit, and then like I started to get less and less and less popular. And then grade 5, I remember like, okay, you know how not many people like handwrite? I used to always like writing, my handwriting was my normal writing. And then I like would look at all the popular girls' handwriting, and it'd be like all big and poofy, and I'd be like, and my mindset, I don't know why I thought this. I think it was because I was 10 and I was really stupid back then. I was like,
Probably.
if I change my writing, then they'll notice me and they'll like me. So I actually did really, really like my handwriting. So I really hate myself for this. But I changed my entire writing style, and it actually took me like a couple years to master my writing style. And it didn't do anything. Like, it literally did not do anything. And it made me so, so sad. And, like, I like that writing style nowadays because I, like, changed it to be, like, the writing style I have nowadays, it's actually, like, half printing, which I changed to in grade 5.
Your writing is very legible, though.
Yeah, my writing is very legible.
That is the upshot to it. My writing looks like
was
crap,
not very
so
legible when it was handwriting.
you can take that away from it as a positive, at least.
I think what happened is I kind of was like really popular and dorky when I was little, and then I just kind of went more like I started losing friends and stuff because everyone started, I don't know, changing more, and I just kind of stayed the same personality.
Yeah, I was
gonna
say, I think it's because when you get into that age, people are like, oh, you have to be cool to be cool.
Yeah.
Being dorky falls out of vogue.
Yeah, basically. And
whereas
so,
once you get older, then it is in vogue again, so you stay the same, and then you'd be amazing.
Yeah, I know. So, like, I think I was more, I don't know, kind of weird and dorky and stupid and stuff. Yeah, I hate younger Victoria. And then I hated myself even more in retrospect.
A little car cat here, Victoria.
I am a car cat. Like, I seriously cannot stand my past
Sometimes
self.
it's funny how much we embody our patron trolls.
Yeah, I know. And are you blind and you're not telling me?
Yes.
And so then,
Surprise!
like, I just changed everything so much. I just really, really hated it at the time. I really hated it, and looking back on it, I hated it even more. And nowadays, I don't know, I guess I kind of, like, took things I wanted to be a little bit, and then things I was, and I just kind of put it together into the person I am. The person I am right now, I currently really like who I am. Like, and, like, I also, fashion sense, I also thought, like, if I had a better fashion sense, I'd be more popular. And I also tried to hang out with cool people. That didn't work at all. That went really bad. Not in a really, really bad way, more like I tried to, like, talk to them at school, and they'd be like, what are you doing, kind of.
In a very mildly bad way.
Yeah, very, very mildly bad way.
We should
and
probably
so, like,
get back on topic now.
Yeah, I know, but the point is, like, I'm a mesh of what I want to be. Half handwriting and half printing is now my current writing, and I'm basically half who I was, and who I was is now me, if that makes sense.
It does, and I guess that's sort of where I am too. And I think, like I said, stop it. It's probably mom and dad. Yeah, you see my Aram ringtone there. That is
Devin, you're Aram?
I am Richard Maxwell, originally. Yeah, that got a little depressing and then sort of uplifting, but overall, that was very personal and tangential.
Now.
So,
I'm really sorry. I don't like it when I watch things on YouTube and people get really personal, so I'm really sorry.
Well, my personal stuff was at least referent. Oh, no. Okay, sorry.
Wait, what?
The text popped up on the screen. Sean said still loved me and put a heart, which probably means that he's leaving right now.
Oh.
We're so close to finishing in time.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Behind the scenes facts. A Change of Hart was the first Adventures in Odyssey episode that didn't have any of the regular characters in it. The Odyssey team was anxious to prove that the Odyssey concept was broad enough to accommodate a variety of stories and characters, even those that didn't involve Whit, Tom, and Connie. The show also marked the first experience of executive producer Chuck Bolte as Dr. Julius Schnitzelbanker. By the way, his name came from a German restaurant in Silver Spring, Maryland, that Paul McCusker's family frequented. Also, this episode first appeared in an album 15 years after it originally aired, and is the first episode to feature the private school Odyssey Academy.
When you said, Whit, Tom, and Connie, in my head, a voice said, Ed Eugene, and then I'm like, wait.
Not quite. This episode 27.
This was the depressing era before our resident genius became a thing. I don't know about you, but if I was the girl who wrote that letter that said, write a character like my dad, I would just feel like the awesomest person ever because he ended up becoming such a main character. The keys thing never really, well, it did go places, but after a while that just kind of stopped being a thing.
Anyway, so I think something we should address, which I think is
I think they did a good job with the moral in this one. A decently good job.
The important thing about this episode, which was addressed in the behind-the-scenes thing, and it's the reason that we've brought up this episode.
I'm sorry.
Before.
Just put it on ringer. Just put it on vibrate.
Yeah. The fact that it does not have any other characters which ever appear in another episode again, which is very significant.
They should have Wit's End in this episode. I'm sorry.
Victoria.
I know that they were trying to do a thing, but seriously. Seriously.
The reason that we brought this episode up before is this very fact, and I think it's very significant. We talked about it mostly in terms of the episode, I think it was episode 17 of the Oddcast, which was examining the question, why his adventures in Odyssey lasted so long. This is a very long show, and most shows are not only have most shows not lasted this long, but conceptually are not capable of lasting this long. And the reason is that Adventures in Odyssey is not focused on a specific, like a specific plot arc, or even on a specific set of characters. It is focused on the town. It has main characters, which appear frequently, but it can be about any number of characters, and even the most main of characters cannot be in tons and tons and tons of episodes, because this show is about the town, which is why it is not, characters can develop, characters can come and they can leave, and things can happen and change, but as long as the town is still there, the show can keep on going, which is why Odyssey has lasted so long and why it's such a versatile show. And this episode is very important in that, because it showed even if you don't have any other characters that don't link to anything else ever again, as long as it's an Odyssey, it can still tie into the show overall. And so that definitely does get some points back for this episode.
Yeah.
I'll do my final thoughts first for it, unless you have anything else to say before that.
One more thing. Also, sometimes it's just like the writing team is so good, just anything they write, even if it doesn't really tie into other things like other characters, you're like, oh, this won't be that great, and you read it and you're like, oh, this is actually really good, or you listen to it or watch it. Like, an example is this book series I have. It's called Ouran High School Host Club. It's a manga series and an anime. And so, like, shut up, this actually has to do with things, Devin. So, like, there is a little mini-series for a little while. It has chapters at the end of each book. It's called Love, Egotist, or something like that. And I didn't really want to read it originally, except for just the writer was so good with their characters. I just, like, got sucked into this story, and it was only, like, 17 pages long. And I just, like, loved all the little stories they did, and they all had, like, different people in a different universe, and everything was different, but it was all just still so good.
Well, that was sort of related.
It was related. If you're a good writer, you can basically write anything, it'll be great.
That wasn't the point I was trying to make, though.
That's something I'm saying.
Okay, my final point, a huge part of that is the fact that, yes, it didn't have any other reoccurring characters, which is a strong point for the episode, even though the episode quality in and of itself, I think it weakens that because it makes it harder to tie any of the characters into anything else. It strengthens it conceptually, and it strengthened the show in that it showed, how versatile and dynamic Adventures in Odyssey is. There's really not a whole lot that's bad about this episode, except that it's just generally very simple, and there's not a whole
what
lot
else?
that happens in it. It's not terribly
It
interesting.
is boring. This episode I find boring.
Yes.
This episode is very,
I mean, you look at our
very
episode
boring.
description, there's really not a lot that happens. Like I said, kid
Like,
gets
take
bullied,
Ties That Bind.
he switches
I know it's
schools, he gets
packed,
bullied
but,
again,
like-
he changes himself, he gets bullied some more, and so he becomes
Yeah,
Christian.
I was writing the episode description. I'm like, Devin, what do I write? And he's just like, I can sum it up in like 5 words. So, like, take Ties That Bind. I know it's super complex and stuff, and it's not a one-shot episode, but still, it's just like a really, really long description, and that's only listing one little scene from each of the, just one thing from each scene in the episode, and it's still longer than Change of Heart.
So I'm going to give this episode 2.4 out of 5.
That's generous.
It's not a passing grade.
Still, it's generous.
Anyways, go.
I'm gonna give this episode 0.5. I don't like this episode.
0.5 out of 5?
Yes.
Wow. Do you want to give any more justification for that?
Maybe 1 out of 5. I don't know. Something low out of 5. I'm gonna give it a frowny face out of 5 because this episode reminded me about the years I was bullied, which made me sad. And then also, this episode's really depressing. I mean, it ends on a hopeful note, but still, it's really depressing. It might end on a hopeful note, but he's still at a school where everyone hates him and beats him up.
True.
So I never liked the ending of this episode.
And there's
I
no
liked that
we have
he-
absolutely no reason to believe that that does not continue to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like the fact that he became a Christian.
Which is realistic, I
and
guess, sort of,
stuff.
but
Yeah, I
still
know.
depressing.
It's just a depressing and boring episode with a character that isn't that likable. So, yeah, I'm giving it 0.5 out of 5. I think
Alright.
that's proper justification. Everyone in this episode is kind of a jerk, except for, like, the main characters.
So, next time, Victoria.
I feel like I'm bullying Freddie Hart by giving this episode a low mark. I
What are
remembered
we-
his name that time.
What are we doing next time?
We are reviewing Ties That Bind Part 7 and Part 8.
12! Yes, part 8.
Part 12! It hasn't even come out yet, but we're going to be reviewing it.
So, yeah, part 7 and 8, and that's what we're doing next time. And
We should just skip a part of Ties That Bind and see if anyone notices.
I think they'll notice.
Nah.
And so, until then, I've been Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And I have been Victoria Francis, aka Bring the Edgeling back! For the love of God! Bring Handa back! Please!
And you've been watching The Adventures in Odyssey
I can't
Oddcast.
talk about this anymore.
Goodbye.